Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. Another World of Warcraft video. It's not even a Star Wars video, dude. What are you doing here? Get him out of here. Listen, I'll pack you up and send your ass back to Fiverr. You're gonna get packed up. I said what I said, sir. YouTube family friendly. We're gonna shoot this guy in Minecraft. Much love to him. He'll be fine. Settle down. It's just a joke. Hydration Nation. Oh, yes. Definitely from the Retribution Wells at the Cathedral into the stockades all the way down to a small little plummet of water they put into this bottle right here. Whoever found this water, thank you. Pay that man 20 gold. GDKP, by the way. Much love. Settle down. We got to talk about that today, too. But a lot of things to discuss. Everybody will get packed. You know how it is around here. No one's safe, okay? However, much love to you. Before we continue today's, video, we gonna send you down below to the description. Check out the link. Rested XP, your guide through all of Azeroth for any assistance you may need. Support the boy, support the channel, and if anything, just like and subscribe to the video. That's all I really care about today. I also just realized I heard a plane outside. Is there an AC-130 out? Am I packed? Listen, settle down. I'm trying to record a video out here. You don't even got enough kills for a kill streak. Unbelievable. Anywho, listen, back to the WoW video, okay? So, a lot of things to discuss today. A lot of things from forum posts to Twitter posts and to Wowhead posts. So, from Rogue, Crimson Tempest, and Warlock Tier 1 set, it looks like there was fixes for today. The Rogue Crimson Test will no longer cause the Night Slayer 6-piece set bonus to grant 2 charges of clear casting. And Warlocks, the MC tank set, it uses the correct 30-second duration of Banish Rank 2, and it was incorrectly 20 seconds from before. And for Warlocks who log out while banished, they'll no longer lose effects of Metamorphosis or the Chronoboon Displacer. So those are things that are changed for those 2 classes. One of the more important topics of discussion today, though, is Wild Strikes are becoming raid-wide in Season of Discovery. So from the notes from Blizzard, it looks like in order to improve accessibility to Wild Strikes and Wind Fury totem effect, the Wild Strikes aura, which has been limited to Druid's party within 20 yards, will become raid-wide with a 100-yard radius. So now this is a 100-yard radius, basically retail, of the raid-wide auras that they are doing for Druids. Now, to be honest with you, I think this is a W. I think this is a great change for Druids. I've always been an advocate for Druids. I feel like Feral Druid especially didn't get a lot of love, and now they're getting a lot of love this phase. They're the #1 DPS logging class in the game right now currently, and they are really, really smacking. But I think this also is love for the tank Druids who don't need to use Wild Strikes anymore, and they can, depend on crit immunity or whatever, runes they want to use. This gives a lot more flexibility to Druids, and I think this is a really good decision in general. Whether people like to say, oh, but now we're going with raid-wide auras, and this is like something that might lead to like retail-like behavior. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think this is a big major issue. At the end of the day, I think this is something that was needed both on Horde and Ally end. This is something we share with Druids, and obviously one of the major problems, that I was having with the Alliance end, in particular, is the lack of Druids that we are finding is like alarming. Or I'll see a couple of fire kittens here and there, don't get me wrong, but there's like a lack of feral Druids, and just to have the ability of Druids just using Wild Strikes raid Y now is just massive. It helps everybody out now, so I think that's just a good change overall. On the Alliance side of things, the discussion right now currently what people are having, for anybody of the Horde who's unaware, is that how now our Paladin aura is going to be implemented in the future when it comes to where we're going to go about certain things of improving this. Because right now, I feel like the one useless thing as a Paladin player I could say that I don't really benefit my raid of, really honestly, besides Fire Resist aura, is any of my other auras. I think they're completely useless. There is no really good usage of them, and I really think there needs to be like a rune probably or something implemented where if you use this rune maybe on your back slot, because I know our back slot as a Paladin, it's really kind of one of our like mediocre slots right now. Like you have Righteous Vengeance and you have a couple other options there. They give Divine Light, and I believe I think is Shock and Awe on the back slot. I forget. Overall though, our back slot's like, I would say mediocre at best right now, especially with like, obviously the Divine Light nerfs that happen and stuff like that. So I think it would be cool to have some type of improved aura or something on the back end where it helps out the Paladin auras for their Alliance raids, where we can help benefit, give aura effects to everybody in the raid, where they're like, wow, this Paladin aura is actually making, a nice little change for us, or, something that helps everybody out in terms of, more protection, or, a slight damage increase Nothing, you know, overboarding, you know, overtuned, something that's properly, you know, a good value, you know. And I think that would be something that's nice. Now, obviously, they did that in retail, you know. Once again, they would probably most likely copy a retail mechanic or try to come up with something original, you know. But in general, though, I do think something needs to be done with Paladin auras so we can get to that point where now, like just how Druids feel with their, you know, their raid wide, you know, wild strikes, our Paladin auras can be something that either is raid wide or something that does something that is more beneficial to the party, and it makes sense to bring 4 paladins, and especially if, you know, some guilds or some people, they're already over the fire resist cap, right? And, you know, they can just use other auras, but then those auras kind of just feel either selfish or useless for the most case. So overall, though, I think that's something in the future I would love to see on the alliance side of things, and I think that would be cool. You know, I think that would be badass because at the end of the day, the one thing that I will always advocate for is classes being fully fleshed out and fully developed further. Because we all know that, you know, since the dawn of time of original World of Warcraft and original, like, you know, OG Vanilla, right? A lot of classes were not really fully concepted to be put out and made for the game. Like, they were out, but the design, the philosophies behind them on how they wanted to basically have these classes be weren't really fully all put in. There were some unused assets, there was probably some unused ideas, and, you know, things that they needed to really flesh out the class a little bit more to make it feel like the fantasy was coming online for this class, whether that was, you know, shaman, warrior, paladin, hunter, rogue, etc. You know, and then probably there's a lot of classes that had that same thing. So I would really like to see the likelihood, if I can get the word out, I'm stuttering over here, the likelihood of seeing like auras becoming something that is improved within Season of Discovery overall. I think that would be badass for the Alliance side. And obviously, I know that on the Horde end, they get their benefits now with Agility Totem, and, you know, this is, for them, if anything, you know, Wild Strike's aura is a nice increase for them right now. But hey, that's the benefits they get. That's the side they chose to play, and hey, more power to them. Much love to them. Their raids are going to be really badass with that now, especially. But I tried to go on the forum posts, and I was trying to find any type of educated conversation going on, and, you know, God forbid you go on the Blizzard forum post without anybody ever bringing up paladins or shamans, right? And it's just an example, but, like, I tried to, like, read some more stuff, what people thought about wild strikes becoming raid wide, and already, you know, you have the conversation going on with, you know, paladins and shamans. Listen, guys, I'm gonna say this, and this is the thing I will say here for anybody that listens to my videos and actually watches the videos and actually knows who I am. I don't think the conversation needs to be centered around why this class is better, why this class is better. The conversation needs to be focused on is how do we fix this class to match its fantasy? How do we fix this class to match its fantasy? How do we make this class feel fun and make this class feel fun? The conversation needs to stop this comparison game. Now, comparisons are always going to happen no matter what. Even regardless of a conversation is brought up, there's going to be always people just comparing stuff internally, no matter what, how they look at things. But at the end of the day, we have to start looking how we can better the assistance of our classes to help other classes within raids, within PvP, within the open world in general. And I feel like that's the conversation. There's no need to be nitpicking at shamans or paladins if this class is broken or that class is broken. At the end of the day, let both classes represent their sides and be strong in their raids, and that's it. Let's move on and let's find better answers to class, you know, utilization with other classes, and also the better builds of classes in the future after SOD ends, before Classic Plus, and how we can fundamentally make these classes, you know, better for, you know, World of Warcraft overall, and all classes, not just, you know, Paladin Shamans, every single class, the better back end work of talents, and, you know, just working at the core of the kits, right? So that's just my answer to that. So for another conversation, actually, shout out to this creator, Arcavium. He actually makes great Paladin content. He's a boy of mine, and he's honestly a really good Paladin. Much love to him. But he brought up a conversation too, which is like another thing that I guess we could discuss, is if Paladins are OP in PvP in particular. And he kept saying that he keeps seeing posts about Paladins being OP, but what Paladin spells are OP and need to be brought up into line with the rest of classes. I heard the same thing for the past 20 years in this Bubble and Lay on Hands. While in Season Discovery, all the new runes and spell changes are people still talking about Bubble and Lay on Hands, instead of the new spells added to the game that need clear balancing. Mage's Blink that can be reused in 10 seconds to teleport back, then blink again on top of healing with a ton of barely any mana cost. Rogues to Tenacious Poison being 2,550 armor reduction. Shamans with Riptide, Earth Shield, Shield Mastery, Spirit Wolves. He's saying God class right now. 100 Chimera Shot, Explosive Trap, Priest SWD. And Warlock's Unstable Affliction hit for 2k plus on Dispel, also silences. This is just a few things that have been added inside that feel like need to be adjusted, but no one is talking about. Paladins have Steel Switch to match the DPS of other classes, so again, I ask, what Paladin spells in Classic Season Discovery are OP and need to be brought back in line with the rest of the classes? Now, in my response to Arca, shout out to him, much love, and go check him out, tell him Tello sent you, appreciate him. Do I think Paladins are OP? Here's my truthful answer to this. I think a lot of classes are OP to a person when they're undergeared. I think a lot of classes are OP to a person when they don't realize how to verse that class. I think a lot of classes are OP when they don't realize how that class works. And I think people only say this all the time when they get their shit pushed in. Much love to them. And that's just the truth. And as WoW players with our big egos that we have, and we're very prideful in our characters, we're very prideful for the amount of hours we put in, a lot of prideful people, and they don't want to admit to the fact that they've taken an L. And it's sour for them. They don't like swallowing the pill of defeat, but realizing defeat actually makes you stronger. You learn more from that battle. You figure out that class. You try to find alternatives, whether it's like the usage of profession items, in-game items, understanding your rotation better, creating a different gap, closing the gap, extending the gap, creating the range, and using your kit to your full advantage. So in the hands of certain people, yes, Paladins are OP. And in the sense of people that don't realize what they're doing against a class, no, Paladins are not OP. Because when people know what they're doing, they know that you have to trinket the Hodge. They know that if they can just outweigh a Hodge and try to survive the burst, that they can move out, especially like a mage, right? A mage knows what they're doing. A really good mage knows what they're doing. And a really good mage, majority of the time, is going to shit on a Paladin. A really good shaman, majority of the time, if not 9 out of the 10 times, is going to shit on a Paladin. They're a hard counter to Paladins. It is what it is. People forget, even back in the day, before SOD, shamans were wrecking Paladins. Shamans can still beat Paladins. It's a counter to a class. And it's not to say that a Paladin can't beat a shaman. It's just you have to know how to play your cards. Obviously, if the shaman just pops all his shit, you're basically fucked. And if you can't outlast it with the bubble and try to kill the wolves and move away, you're basically fucked. But what I'm getting at is this. A lot of classes are OP in good players' hands if they know what they're doing. And to a lot of players that are either undergeared, don't know how to kit themselves correctly, they're wearing either too much heavy PvE gear, and then down the line, when we get to like the rank 14 stuff, if they're not even utilizing that once we get further in the phases, a lot of people are always going to complain against the class when they don't know what they're doing. And I think the ultimate goal is the conversation at this point should no longer be are any class OP, but how do we fix these classes moving forward? How do we address certain things with these classes moving forward so we can create some type of balance, some type of good structure where PvP is actually fun and everybody has a good chance at it if they actually play the game and kit themselves and do the battlegrounds, get the armor, and implement something within PvP to give incentive for players wanting to play PvP. So that's basically it for what I have to say about that. I do not think Paladins are OP. I just think people don't know how to play against Paladins, and especially Paladins that that either gear correctly or don't gear correctly. You have to watch out. If a Paladin has a full set on, they're going to have a 45-second Hodge. They're going to try to bubble and outlast that and get another Hodge back so they can get 2 Hodges. If they're playing really aggressive, they're just going to bubbly aggressive against you, Hodge you, try to nade you or try to repent you. They're going to be on top of you depending on your spec. They might pop wings, they might not pop wings. This all goes to see how a Paladin would play. You have aggressive Paladins who maybe they won't bubble. You have Paladins that will bubble. You have people that just stay far back and they play Shockedin. You have prop Paladins that are ready to just you kill them by them basically hitting you because they're a heavy deep prop Paladin, holy shield spec, right? This is all goes up to just debate, and honestly, there's a lot of options for a lot of other classes. I've been nuked by a lot of classes. I've been nuked by mages. I've been nuked by rogues. I've been nuked by shamans. I've been nuked by druids. You can get nuked by a lot of classes. I think honestly classes are just strong in the right hands against players that don't know what they're doing. That's just me being honestly respectful and not trying to be a dick to anybody. It's just the truth. If you want to get good at PvP, just go play BGs. Go duel your friends. Go duel people outside the city and learn it, you know? And then you'll see how strong your class really is when you correctly gear it, and go from there. So I'll just leave it at that. However, though, we'll go into the next conversation. Please consider TBC within Season of Discovery. Please give us TBC and SOD. I've had the most pure joy playing SOD, TBC being a lot of people's favorite expansion, and mine, I think this would be a huge hit. I don't even need more than what you have given us already. I mean, add stuff, but I so badly want to use my spec and build in TBC in only level 40 right now, and I already feel this way. So TBC, the Burning Crusade, man, dude, how do we feel about Season of Discovery TBC? What are your guys' honest comments below about that? I mean, to be honest with you, TBC and SOD, that would be interesting. I would play TBC because that's just me. I love, the Burning Crusade. I think it's like one of the best expansions ever. And I genuinely think it's when, WoW was at a really, really good point, especially, with like arenas and stuff. I really enjoyed that. But man, I don't know. I wonder what people would think if they would want to play a SOD version of TBC, and whether they would just want that realm to be open so like their character could also stand the vanilla. They can have a copy of their character there and a copy on TBC. It doesn't need to be like the whole transfer thing within 2019. It'd be very interesting. I'd be very curious to see what they would do with that. I'm not sure how it would work out, but I would be willing to try it, or if it's just a fresh TBC side, I'd be very interested to give it a shot. But let me know your comments below. What do you guys think about TBC SOD? So we'll go from there. Now, what's coming in Phase 5? I think this is one of the most important conversations for today. Phase 5. From Grimblood, what new features, additions, and content will be added in the next phase of Season of Discovery? Now, this is a massive conversation because at the end of the day, we really need to have this talk on what the heck is actually happening. There is a lot of stuff that we are, unaware of. We don't know what's happening. The only thing that we do know is that BWL and Zul'Gurub, with ZG, is the only things that we are going to be looking forward to besides your occasional doing MC, raiding. You're obviously going to still do maybe some world bosses, but you're going to be doing, your 2 new raids. And I'm really concerned that Phase 5 is just going to be a raid log fest. That's my biggest concern. Out of all the phases, I've always had a clear vision and a clear idea of what might happen, what's going on. Except this phase. I have no idea what's happening with this phase. Even later phases down the line, I can see okay, future raids, announcements that we didn't expect are going to be expected to happen, possibilities that I thought of might happen within phase 7, or or phase 6, whatever down the phase line is, right? But phase 5 is the one that I'm like, I have a question mark. I have no idea what they're going to do. I don't know if it's going to be changes in BWL. I don't know if there's going to be changes in ZG. And if is there going to be new events? Like, is there going to be a new battleground? Something's got to give, because it can't be just an update to the BRM event. You're gonna really gonna annoy people with that one. You're gonna take the same approach that you did with STV when you updated STV in the beginning when you had it came out, and then you just updated it for the next phase. People are not going to like that. So this needs to be something you knock out the park in order to keep player retention, keep people wanting to log into the game, and go from there. I really think it's up to Blizzard to really, handle this with caution here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, what you think might happen with Phase 5. To be honest with you, like I said, I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I genuinely have no fucking idea. And I hope it's good stuff. I hope it's new additions. I hope it's, new features, as, the OP was saying. But I genuinely feel like I am in the loss with this one, guys. So let me know your thoughts below, and we'll just go from there. However, though, in the next conversation, GDKPs, something that is being talked about once again within Season of Discovery. We banned GDKPs so people don't buy gear. And from, I believe it's Il Sande. I know I didn't pronounce the names of the other posts. Forgive me for that. But yes, when the first raid phase has just been gold check, buying BIS fire res gear, and 0.5 gear LOL. And to be honest with you, they're not wrong. I mean, they did ban GDKPs so people don't buy gear. But really, this phase, I think, has been one of the most expensive phases we've had in a minute. People just dumping loads of gold into the economy. Some economies are effed up on certain servers. And things are pricey all around the board. Some prices are coming down now, I will say, in lenience with certain items for sure. But in the beginning, obviously a lot of gold was spent, and this happens with the start of a lot of phases when they come out. But this phase in particular, gold was obviously at an all-time high. You have your Arcanite bars and stuff like that. The core leather and everything, and a lot of things that are going for a bigger price ratio, right? And even from the comments below, Wasian Broly said, since the GDKP ban, I've seen 20 to 30 plus people buy gold in our Discord server, and that's never bought gold in a day in their life. I have an IRL I played with. He bought 5k gold, and it was his first time buying. Swipe City at devs unban GDKP, or the swiping in basically WoW is going to continue to get worse. And I was looking at other threads too and other conversations, and people are kind of like mixed about this. They want it back, they don't want it back. They don't know if they're going to revisit basically the policy of GDKPs overall. I'm gonna be honest with you. I said this in my videos. If you guys ever who actually watch the channel and watch the VODs, right? I was never a fan of GDKPs back in the day in TBC. I had some bad experiences with them, but I know why they work. I understand why they work, and it's not to say that RMT doesn't affect them, because they do heavily by a big proportion, but it does help give a lot of gold back to the players who at least come to a raid, and if they're not getting anything, they're coming back to get something at least, especially if the money goes up, right? And at least you can come to a raid, and you do a raid, you get more money bang for your buck for all the consumables you purchase. Maybe 100, 200, or 300 more gold than originally what you even spent on even coming to the raid in the first place. Or you leave the raid with coming with pieces of gear or 2 or more, right? For some people, if they have a lot of gold, they're leaving with most of the loot, and that's obviously a problem with GDKPs. But in general, I feel like the conversation of bringing GDKPs back within Season of Discovery makes sense, because how expensive things were this phase, and a lot of pricey things that were occurring. So I definitely understand why people want to spark this conversation and why the topic is at hand. And I want to know about you guys. What do you think about GDKPs? Should they come back with Inside, especially Phase 5? Things are only going to get much worse in price. And would you like to see them? And if you don't like to see them, why not? So let me know in the comments below. And finally, for today's news, it seems like, and this is honestly one of the more controversial things of anything on this list of today, in Warcraft Logs data, for in-game Warcraft Logs data, removed from Chinese Classic WoW. It looks like the Warcraft Logs will temporarily stop providing the ability to view dungeon scores in-game, and apparently the plugin has caused quite the controversy within the community, with some players allowing the plugin to determine whether or not a player was competent. The below post was Google translated to English, so it may be a little off. So basically, we could read the post here. Dear players, recently we observed heated discussions in the Classic community regarding the copy score of the Warcraft plugin. As part of the gaming community, Warcraft has been an outstanding contribution to improve the game experience of a player or players, and many players of guilds have achieved brilliant gaming achievements to help the data analysis of Warcraft Logs. In order to create a better gaming environment after joint discussion, Warcraft Logs will make the following adjustments. They will temporarily stop providing the ability to view dungeon scores in-game. The official will provide technical support in the future to help Warcraft Log provide further protect players' data privacy. Currently, the in-game plugin copies the scores display has caused a lot of controversy from the results. The function of complete consistent with the original intention to help players get a better gaming experience. All players should have the opportunity to experience the game and should have also the opportunity to improve their gaming skills. It is true that it's a great experience to see your score improve, but this data should be private. The add-on is not necessary for the game, and we hope that to see these changes can reduce the trouble caused to non-Warcraft users while not affecting the normal use of Warcraft Log users. Data analysis to tool that serves to improve yourself should not become a standard for measuring whether other players are competent. At the same time, we understand that the birth of the plugin is due to the fact that there were unauthorized plugins that stole Warcraft data for the log data, and so they have to make their own plugins to prevent the data abuse. The official will also help Warcraft Log combat data theft and safeguard with the legitimate rights and interests. You can still use the Warcraft Log services, the web pages, applets, etc. We also deeply understand that the background, the WCL score controversy, is a big topic about how new players can integrate into the game. We also use various methods to help new players better participate in the game and encourage all players to bring new players. Since the Warcraft Log usage habits of the official server are significantly different from those in the nostalgic server above, operations are currently only effective with the Wrath of the Lich King nostalgic server. I wish you happy gaming. So that was a long post to reach. And sorry for any of the stuttering. You guys know I'd be stuttering a lot. But however though, yeah, what do you guys think about this? I'm going to be honest with you. In my personal opinion, I have really kind of been on the side of against Warcraft Logs lately. I only feel like Warcraft Logs is a good method of like analyzing log data, but not analyzing in-player human interaction and gameplay experiences, like actual gameplay decision making of like, you know, seeing something on the screen rather than reading numbers on a chart, you know. And I think the decision making and the decisive, you know, skills that players implement within raids, and you can see it happening live, is a better way to evaluate things in comparison to just the raw statistics and the numbers on the back end, and then, you know, unfairly judge certain people for playing a certain spec or a certain class. I do think Warcraft Logs does a good job in determining you know, data overall. I'm not against that part, but I do wish Blizzard had their own implementation at its core to do something on their own end rather than rely on a third-party service. It's just my opinion. It's not something that, you know, I'm not going to, you know, say don't use logs, don't parse. Of course, everyone parses. But I do think it is a way for people to ignore mechanics, to not care about others, to have their own interests on their self and their selfish gains, and further boost their egos within World of Warcraft when they don't care about, you know, anybody else. They just care about how much damage they're pumping. And to be honest with you, this is going to sound a little wild, but I think a lot of these parse Andes basically are just either retail Andes or they can't crack it in retail and Mythic Plus. That's just being honest with you. They're trying to crack it in Classic because this is like something for them that is just, you know, an ego trip or an ego booster, so they can, like, you know, feel really good about themselves. And don't get me wrong, your boy was a person who top 25, top 50 in the world. I've done my part, you know, in World of Warcraft. But I'm not here to, you know, shit on any other class. Without the assistance of other classes, I would never be in that position to get to the top of the logs, you know, or top 10. I hit top 10, I remember, even in Phase 2. I would never get to that point without the assistance of other classes. So I do think Warcraft Logs is it's mixed on the scale for me. It does help in a certain way, but it also hurts in a certain way. And I think it's kind of hard to say just either cut it or leave it, because there are players that like it and there are players that don't like it. So I understand why you have those chill guilds and you have those parse guilds. I do wish there was a better alternative, or, you know, an ultimatum when it came to, you know, Blizzard themselves doing something. But, you know, we'll see what happens in the future overall. However, though, guys, I have to actually leave here soon, because in the next 40 minutes, your boy's going to be playing The War Within. I will be actually playing The War Within. It's going to be fun. We're going to be playing over there. I'm going to be playing with my boy Sky from the Comeback Kids. And we're going to be having a good time, you know, just leveling. You know, I'm thinking maybe playing my Paladin. The Warrior looks really fun, too. I was thinking about trying Warrior again. Fury Warrior looks really badass. So we're going to be trying those two classes out. I have two other classes as well. I think I have an Affliction Lock and a Demon Hunter. We're going to be playing that and letting you boys know what goes on over there. And, you know, maybe with an update and then a future video. We'll be talking about our experience with The War Within and how we've been enjoying it so far. So expect to see some, you know, War Within content as well as Season of Discovery content. Don't think the SOD content is stopping. But that's really about it. Much love to you. A little hydration nation. I feel cloggage on aisle 47 near the bread aisle. Oh, yes, indeed. Blessed from the Retribution Wells all the way to the cathedrals. Much love to you. Don't get packed up. I said what I said. Keep on keeping on, lock it in. Hydration Nation, settle down, shine on, and much love to you, amigos. I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for coming. Yeah, I'm going to keep it a buck. I've been using this a lot more lately because, you know, I do suffer from a little eczema. You know, it happens sometimes, you know. But usually you can use this when you're about to bust a nut and you're really busting that nut. Sometimes I rub it on my... Almost got you with that one right there, didn't I? Sometimes I put it in my... Alright, cut the video. Cut the video.